Today, we're taking a dive into a text that aims to, well, fundamentally reframe the American political landscape. It's Charlie Kirk's MAGA Doctrine, the conservative blueprint for an American future.
Right.
And our mission for you, our listener, is really to explore Kirk's central arguments. Try to understand his vision for national renewal.
Yeah, and how he positions this populist movement against what he clearly sees as entrenched political and cultural elites.
Exactly. And you'll hear about his often surprising takes on things. I mean, everything from foreign policy to healthcare.
And how he grounds these ideas, or believes they're grounded, in America's foundational principles.
It's fascinating because Kirk's work offers, like you said, a comprehensive and sometimes very provocative critique.
It really is a critique of both established political parties.
He presents the MAGA Doctrine not just as some political slogan, right?
Yeah,
But as a robust philosophical framework.
that's the claim. We'll be connecting the dots between his specific policy arguments and this broader vision he has for reasserting what he defines as American greatness. And this really invites us and you to consider, how do movements that claim to disrupt the status quo often rely on reinterpreting long-held traditions to justify their approach?
So Kirk kicks things off with a pretty bold central premise. He argues that Americans just inherently dislike being told what to do. By anyone, really.
He names names, too, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. Social justice warriors, EPA busybodies, or UN blowhards.
Yeah.
Those are his examples.
He sees this rebellious spirit as, core to the nation's DNA.
Tracing it back to the founding individual liberty.
It's that deep-seated skepticism about authority figures, about experts who think they know best. He views that as profoundly American.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, Kirk argues that the very institutions many people, believe are guiding the country.
Like the deep state or the New York Times.
Exactly. Those kinds of institutions. He says they're actually not well prepared for the future.
And he thinks their self-assuredness, their smugness will be their downfall, lead to their loss of control.
Which is where he brings in Donald Trump. He paints Trump as unique among modern presidents because he doesn't lecture people.
Right. Instead, Kirk positions him as a fellow rebel against this condescending elite.
He calls him the freest man in the world, uniquely positioned to challenge the establishment.
It's quite the image. A billionaire attacking billionaires, a celebrity attacking media, a Manhattanite winning over stadiums full of farmers.
Yeah, it is quite a portrayal. And he defines the book as being about what happens when the two political parties stop listening to the people and the people win anyway.
He also pushes back against the idea that the movement is just backward-looking.
He says, well, make America great again, uses the past as a benchmark. Sure, it's not about literally returning to, say, the 1950s. It's about forging a path to a brighter future, building on the good stuff from the past, not trying to regress.
Bigger is not always better, is one.
Emphasizing that government's role should be barely noticeable.
And championing the protection of individual liberty from the tyrannical forces of government. He sees that as essential for safeguarding individuals, families, communities.
He mentioned supporting Trump since 2011, founding Turning Point USA.
Right, to preach free markets, the Constitution, and American exceptionalism to younger people.
That conviction definitely shapes the writing. And he really doesn't hold back on what he calls the two-party cartel.
No, he argues Democrats and Republicans just got far too used to each other.
Engaging in horse trading for votes, furthering their own shared interests, often at the taxpayer's expense.
He gives that example of the unholy alliance. The left wants welfare, the right wants military spending.
And both just keep increasing, right? Without real scrutiny.
He points to George H.W. Bush, saying he voted for Hillary Clinton over Trump.
Yeah, Kirk portrays that as proof the Bushes and Clintons were like two branches of one big happy family, just taking turns.
This leads him to trace this evolution of party philosophies, how these sort of cartel dynamics emerge.
He lays it out pretty clearly.
Yeah, the old Democrat, big welfare, regulatory state, military, maybe subordinated to international groups.
And the new Democrat, which he says moved towards moral relativism and flat-out socialism.
Citing people like Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as examples of this expansion of government control.
And on the other side,
The old Republican, free trade, big business support, anti-welfare, traditional morality, and those never-ending military engagements.
But then Trump arrives, and Kirk says this creates the new Republican.
Defined by trade with a dash of strategic protectionism, free speech, and skepticism about the use of military power overseas.
And Kirk argues this fundamentally redefines what conservatism or the right is.
moving it towards, in his view, a kind of roughly free speech, pro-peace direction.
That redefinition really comes into focus with foreign policy.
Yeah, and it's maybe counterintuitive for some. He argues the MAGA Doctrine isn't about being belligerent.
Quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
It recommends recognizing, the limits of our knowledge about other cultures.
He sort of implies the U.S. government struggles to run its own country, let alone others.
He uses that ridiculous case of the Kabul Grand Hotel. Remember that?
Vaguely, yeah. The $85 million project.
That's the one. In Afghanistan. Became an abandoned shell, needed guards to stop terrorists using it right across from the U.S. Embassy.
What?
He uses it as a prime example of waste when you're spending other people's money.
And his answer is just stay out of these quagmires in the first place.
Exactly.
And what Kirk sees as crucial here is his belief that before Trump, the left wanted to change the world through global institutions. And the right wanted to change it through military intervention.
Two sides of the same coin.
He says the real choice now is between government bureaucracies and the soldiers we endanger for their goals.
Which definitely raises a big question for you. How does a nation balance global responsibilities with urgent domestic needs?
Especially when you've got things like crumbling infrastructure at home. He also mentions that post-Cold War peace dividend.
The one that never showed up.
Apparently not, according to economist Ryan McMakin, he cites. Instead, a 44% increase in defense spending since 1990, adjusted for inflation.
Wow. With the U.S. spending like 3 times China's and 10 times Russia's.
Which leads to his America First foreign policy.
Which he insists isn't isolationism.
No, more a principle that nations should manage their own affairs while the U.S. prioritizes its own interests. He holds up the USMCA.
The U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal.
Right. As a success story, refining NAFTA, simplifying trade, strengthening collective bargaining rights. He frames it as a win-win.
Even for unions, despite Democratic stalling on it.
Then he shifts to energy. This is key for him.
He says, the temptation to go to war decreases if oil becomes significantly more plentiful, less necessary, and more readily found right here at home.
He contrasts Hillary Clinton saying she'd put a lot of coal miners out of business with Trump's actions.
Like drilling in ANWR, the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, pulling out of the Paris Agreement, approving pipelines.
All things that, Kirk argues, pushed U.S. oil and natural gas production to record highs.
Making the U.S. a net exporter of oil for the first time.
And this really makes you ask, how does energy independence actually reshape a nation's foreign policy?
Kirk suggests this golden age of American energy dominance isn't about, triumphalist oil wars.
No, he sees it as the foundation for a new century of peace, because it reduces reliance on unstable foreign regimes.
And he contrasts that with what he calls the left's energy plans.
Like the Green New Deal. He labels it a stealth Luddite agenda.
Why Luddite?
Because he believes it promotes cutting energy use based on what he sees as excessive fear of global warming, instead of focusing on increasing production through innovation.
Okay, so let's shift focus then to domestic policy. Kirk shows a lot of pride in Trump's economic record.
He highlights the Dow rising 9,000 points, record low unemployment for different groups.
Black, Hispanic, female workers. He lists them. He quotes Trump, "It's the economy, stupid."
Right, and he notes what he sees as the media's silence on the booming economy under Trump, compared to their focus on jobs before.
He also tells that woman skating rink story. Remember that one? In Central Park.
Where Trump, as a private citizen, supposedly fixed it up fast and cheap.
Exactly. Way ahead of schedule and under budget, contrasting it with the city's, as he puts it, Democrat-dominated failure over years.
And Kirk uses this as a metaphor.
For the whole MAGA doctrine, a simple code for turning that sort of practical problem-solving into a can-do approach to national governance.
It's a neat analogy he draws. What Kirk finds particularly ironic is his discussion of criminal justice reform.
The first step back.
That's the one. He thinks it should be an immense historic irony for liberals, given Trump's often painted image as authoritarian.
What did the act do again?
Well, it let nonviolent offenders earn more time off sentences, guaranteed hygiene products for female prisoners, limited restraints on pregnant inmates,
Okay.
Made sentencing changes for crack powder cocaine disparities retroactive, mandated de-escalation training for guards. Quite a list.
And he contrasts this with
figures like Joe Biden, who Kirk says pushed for harsher sentences back in the 80s and 90s, contributing to the U.S. having the highest incarceration rate in the world.
And he mentions Kamala Harris, too.
Yeah, critiquing her record as California's attorney general, describing her as sometimes fighting to keep innocent people locked up on technicalities.
Okay, shifting gears again. Healthcare. Kirk points to what he calls Trump's underappreciated move on Obamacare, which was effectively gutting the individual mandate by setting the penalty to $0 in the 2017 tax bill.
Ah, right. Kirk hated the mandate, saw it as forcing people to buy insurance just to benefit the insurance companies.
And he outlines Trump's American Patients First plan, especially the part about price transparency for medical services.
Yeah, making hospitals and insurers show their prices up front.
And Kirk quotes opponents from the American Hospital Association and Blue Cross Blue Shield.
He quotes Rick Pollack and Justine Handelman opposing transparency. Kirk calls their arguments
ludicrous.
He claims they just want to hide wildly and arbitrarily varying prices and these huge bureaucratic markups. He blames weird public-private partnerships, not real market competition.
Interesting. That kind of leads into a broader theme he explores, the Bill of Rights. Kirk argues Trump is a champion for it against modern threats.
Let's take the First Amendment.
Kirk says Trump defends free speech not by censoring the media, but by criticizing it openly. He sees Trump's criticism itself as an act of free speech. He also cites Trump's executive order telling colleges to respect students' First Amendment rights, rejecting oppressive speech codes, censorship, political correctness.
Things Kirk believes stifle real debate.
Then the Second Amendment. Kirk praises Trump's respect for self-defense for gun owners.
And he tells that alligator hunting story with Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah, down in Louisiana. He uses it to emphasize the practical need for guns and also, interestingly, how local hunters actually helped bring alligators off the endangered list.
What about the Fourth Amendment? Privacy.
Kirk expresses concern about tech surveillance. He mentions Edward Snowden, the Patriot Act.
Contrast that with Trump's skepticism towards, quote, both government and red tape.
Right. And for the Eighth Amendment, he highlights that unanimous Supreme Court decision.
The one involving Gorsuch and Kavanaugh.
Trump's appointees. They overturned an asset forfeiture, taking someone's Land Rover in a small drug case. Kirk frames it as a big win for property rights against government overreach.
You know, this whole discussion really prompts a key question for you. In this era of fast tech changes and shifting cultural norms, how do we keep documents like the Bill of Rights relevant and protected?
It's a huge question.
And Kirk's focus on Trump's judicial legacy, appointing over 150 federal judges, including Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, chosen for their originalist interpretations.
Meaning they look at the founders' original intent.
Kirk suggests this is a long-term strategy to anchor the judiciary in that original meaning, no matter who's president. He actually calls this judicial transformation Trump's true lasting legacy.
Okay, so finally, Kirk addresses the opposition to MAGA.
He claims that for many on the left, Trump's 2016 win wasn't just a loss. It was something deeper, more primal.
Leading to what he calls a delusional resistance.
He argues that Democrats poured all this emotional energy into basically proving 2016 didn't really happen.
Blaming sexism, racism, the unconstitutional electoral college.
And of course, the Russians. That's Kirk's phrasing.
He talks about Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. It's very much real.
And causes, in his view, Hollywood elite stars and members of Congress to openly root against the country's success just to stop Trump getting reelected. He calls it shameful behavior. And to understand it in his broader framework, Kirk sees Trump as the great agitator.
Meaning?
Someone who uses direct communication, think Twitter, to bypass traditional channels, challenge abstract political norms, and reveal how phony traditional political talk often was.
So decentralizing force.
Exactly. A tool for shooting down nonsense very quickly, as he puts it. What is the right role for that kind of direct, unmediated communication from voters today? How does it change things?
Yeah, how does it reshape the role of traditional media gatekeepers?
Kirk also takes aim at one world globalism. He sees it as this long-term elite project to create a unified, homogenized world.
And he thinks Trump disrupted that.
He points to historical shifts, like empires falling and local independence reasserting itself, suggesting Trump showed that this supposedly inevitable globalizing process could be stopped, even reversed.
The core message seems to be a refusal to let vast, impersonal forces masquerading as historical destiny decide what will become of us.
And importantly, he draws a line between nationalism and white nationalism.
Right. He emphasizes the MAGA Doctrine is nationalism for the entire nation, not for a particular group, race, religion, or sect.
He even shares that personal story, doesn't he, about his 6th grade teacher?
The teacher reeling against George W. Bush in U.S. history.
and inadvertently setting Kirk on the path to conservatism, leading him to thinkers like Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell.
It's a fascinating origin story for his philosophy.
And what's compelling is how he uses Friedman and Sowell. He argues, drawing from them, that central planning can never be as efficient as the individual, decentralized buying and selling decisions of billions of individuals. He highlights Friedman's nuanced take on immigration, that open borders are not compatible with an unrestrained welfare state, and Sowell's critique of the anointed, those elites who think they're more moral and informed than everyone else.
So Kirk's conclusion really wraps it all up.
Mhm.
What does he see as the keys to America's success?
He lists them: limited government, freedom to engage in commerce, avoidance of entangling military alliances, respect for the individual's rights, and an optimism born of boundless imaginative creativity.
He asserts that American resilience is a trait that has been admired and envied around the planet, and that the nation just doesn't settle for second or third place.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our dive into Charlie Kirk's MAGA Doctrine, we've really explored a vision that, well, positions itself as a profound reawakening of American principles.
It definitely challenges established political orthodoxies, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Advocating for a return to individual liberty, national self-determination, it's really a call to action rooted in his belief that America's future depends on disrupting the status quo and reclaiming its unique heritage.